So we've gone into chapter 14, and what we did last week, we're reading through them and then stopping if any clarification needs to be there. Oh yeah, and I was going to do some investigation or find out about this one here, circumambulating before the deity, because we do that in Kirtan. So I did come across there's a little booklet which was put together by His Holiness Janananda Maharaj. Kirtan Standards it's called. It's easily downloadable, and he's got various quotes from Prabhupada. So it is exactly it. Well, not exactly, but as we said last week, circumambulating of the deity can be done during Kirtan. So it's okay to do it during Kirtan, but one should keep in mind, should not have their back to the Lord. So as they're circumambulating in front of the deity, they should kind of do a little bit of a spin. So as they go around, they're facing the deity, then they spin around. So like that. So it's okay to run in circles during Kirtan. All right. So, and I think that's where we left off. Does anyone? I didn't put a bookmark exactly. I've just highlighted this one here. So I guess we finished on there. All right. So anyone like to read through these? And we might be stopping at a few.
I can read.
Yes, go ahead, Mother.
Where am I reading from?
Number 8.
Number 8, okay. Extending the feet toward the deity. Number 9.
Actually, just one, perhaps it might be good just to get context of this. If you could just read from down here.
Yeah. Offences in devotional service, Seva Aparadha, are numerous. In some scriptures, 32 offences are listed, and in others, 50. Scripture generally identifies 4 classifications of Seva Aparadha. By definition, Seva Aparadha is always related to deity worship. The 4 classifications of offences in deity worship are those pertaining to persons engaged in deity worship, those pertaining to the installation of deities, those pertaining to persons taking darshan of the deity in the temple, and those that generally apply in all cases. These can be easily determined. Okay. Number 8.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Shall I start at number 8?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Extending the feet toward the deity. Number 9, sitting on one's haunches before the deity. Number 10, sleeping or reclining in the presence of the deity. 11, eating before the deity. Number 12, speaking lies before the deity. Number 13, speaking out loudly before the deity. Number 14, talking with others before the deity. Number 15, shedding false tears before the deity.
Okay, perhaps we'll stop there because we might, by the time we get to the end, we might forget our thoughts on these. But any comments or questions about these few?
Yeah, I have a question actually. When I was in Ishrath, Sue Davy, I don't know if you remember Sue Davy from, I think she's from Mauritius. Anyway, anyway, I used her laptop for something, and afterwards she accused me of breaking into her Facebook account. I don't know why I would want to break into her Facebook account. It sounded just really strange. Anyway, I said, no, I didn't go near your Facebook. Anyway, she made me tell her I didn't do it in front of the deities. And I thought, well, that's really offensive anyway. I mean, I didn't break into her. Why would I break into anyone's Facebook account?
But you know what Sue Davis? You know what Sue Davis like? She was in the temple ashram, remember? For a while. Just stay away.
Yeah. And, you know, I thought, well, I've heard of people doing that before. Say it in front of the deity, and then people will know it's true. I mean, people used to do that. I mean, she did it. She practically said, oh, you can tell me in front of the deities. And Well, I did, but I thought, well, that's more offensive, isn't it? Like to drag someone to the deities and make them say something that you don't believe. So, like, if you're lying, you'll get an offense or something. I mean, it was really bizarre, but I'm just telling you because, like,
yeah. I mean, well, that example is there in regards to Shakshi Gopal. That's
oh
the,
yes,
that's the whole essence of that story. And traditionally in a village, that's how issues would be settled. They would come before the temple, before the village deity, and persons would have a reluctance, or some persons hopefully would have a reluctance to tell falsity before the deities. So that is there, but at the same time, we don't want to bother the deities with such mundanities as such that you brought up there. You know, that's the type of thing that generally Prabhupada taught us to do. Although it is there as an example in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but generally we don't want to disturb the Lord unnecessarily with our trifle dealings, with our trifle insignificant dealings. So it's not the best. Really, we want to approach Lord, and we want to pray to become free from our natas. We want to pray to actually receive love. You know, to go to the deity and pray about a Facebook account. It's nice. What is that? Not exactly. It's almost like, I think it comes up here. One shouldn't speak about mundane subjects before the deity as well. We shouldn't speaking about, we shouldn't be speaking about how much tax the government are putting on in front of the deities. It's not really a subject that we want to do.
Yeah, but even with Shakshi Gopal's example, we shouldn't like bring devotees before the deities to make sure they're not lying or something like
that. That's like intimidating. That's not, like you said, that's intimidating. And I guess you can, and I guess how you felt about it is quite self-evident of how wrong that was. So she said, I can't remember her vaguely. I remember perhaps, she's a little bit eccentric. Anyway, she got the answer, I guess. You went for the dealers and you said that. Yeah, but really we don't want to do that because the devotees who are with us today, it's not the type of thing that we want to get in the habit of doing. It's quite bizarre. There is that story of Shakshi Gopal, but the circumstances are quite unique. But we don't want to, did you steal my plate of Mahabhashadam? Come before the deities and tell me. Tell me. Yeah, it's a bit haughty. Yeah, we have to be very careful when we're in front of the Lord. We should be in a very respectful mood, and we don't want to. We don't want to unnecessarily bring up these trifle things before Krishna.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyone else? Anyway, okay. I hope. But interesting. I've never had to do that myself. I've never been asked to do that. I mean, yeah. And generally, I haven't heard really in my years of practicing Krishna consciousness. I haven't heard of devotees forcing other devotees to actually do that, to come before the deities, give a true account of what you meant or what you said. We don't do that. So just on that basis of itself, that is enough to make you question it and not to follow this similar type of thing. Yeah, and sitting on one's haunches. You don't know what haunches is? I looked it up on the dictionary. Haunches. On the buttocks of
They sit on the feet. They sit down, but instead of doing the cross leg, the legs are up.
Yeah.
And they are balancing the whole body on the feet.
Yeah, it's like a yogi squat.
Yes.
Okay, yes. So yes. So generally the mood before the deities should be very formal. Shouldn't be informal. That's why when we're sitting in class, it said, in the Offences in the Nectar of Devotion, it said you shouldn't hold your ankles or knees before the deities. You should sit in a very formal way, you know? I mean, some people don't know. I think don't know, and they come in and they spread their legs out before the deities. Some they just don't know, so you have to tell them. So, yeah, so sleeping or reclining. In the present, I've had to tell more than one person that they can't lay down in the temple room. Come in, and you have to be careful how you tell them, in case they get offended, you know. But so we should do that as well. If we come into the temple and we see someone lying down, we should tell them in a nice way. But that's something we shouldn't overlook. We shouldn't just see it and disregard it. And if we feel uncomfortable in telling them, then we should tell someone who will tell them. Because also some people don't know. I remember I mentioned this before, I think, where I was in Canterbury. I was on book distribution and I was having a hard time. So I went to visit Canterbury Cathedral. So I had my Sankirtan hat on, like a cloth hat. It was a bit cold. So I went in there and one of the priests came up and asked me to remove my hat out of respect. So I did. I was happy to be told what's the etiquette, and I was happy to follow it as well. So some people are like that. They're very happy to hear what they can or can't do in the temple. So please, if you come into the temple room and you see someone obviously sleeping, laying down, then you shouldn't tolerate that. You shouldn't become mad at them, but you should do something so that they can they know what to do, what they can't do. Eating before the deity, that was, we don't do. We can take Charna before the deity.
Oh yeah, do you know the other day the lighting was off and there was no lights on the altar, and then someone said, "Oh, we were sitting there chanting," and someone said, "Oh, it's offensive to take darshan of the deities without the lights on. Someone should close the curtains."
Well, there is some light that comes in. They're not in complete darkness, but it is said that you shouldn't. That it is that one shouldn't. Yeah, they should not.
I thought it was you shouldn't enter a dark room where the deities are.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah,
we had that
exact wording. Yeah, but generally, sometimes there's issues with the electric, so sometimes the light goes out, but there's still some light that comes in from the window.
From the windows, yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
so exactly. Dark. Yeah.
What about the temples in India? A lot of temples in India, they don't have electricity. They just have the ghee lamps. And often the ghee lamps are not on.
Yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah, that's why generally the darshan is only during Aarti times. Yeah, during Aarti. And that's what the lamp is originally meant for. The actual deepa, the lamp, it illuminates the form of the Lord. Yeah. Because as you said, the temples in South India, they're quite Gupta. The deities in there's a small darshan mandap. It's like a square, like a doorway, and the priest is in there. So generally, you can only see the good darshan during the Aarti. But our temples, that's one thing I was marveling at when I was in South India. I was thinking about temples and Mayapur. It's like a stage with floodlights, compared to temples in India. All right. Any other comments about these? I forgot where we got up to. Speaking lies before the deity. We shouldn't speak lies in general. We should be truthful. Not to speak before the deities. So that's why Shakshi Gopal, that's why that story is there as well. Shedding false tears before the deity. Yeah. It's embarrassing when someone's shedding false tears. That's not considered to be very respectful for the deity. And it says in Nectar Devotion, one shouldn't cry or wail loudly in the front of the deities. So if you are hysterical, then as much as you may want to, You shouldn't come before the deities. If one is crying in being hysterical, it's not considered very respectful. Some might complain about that. Oh, but no, you shouldn't. You should wait till you can digest. You should wait till the event calms down a bit and then come before the deity. You should have some type of control of your emotions before you come before the deity. Yeah. But you can anyway if you're in an emotional state and you're crying. If you can address the Lord within the heart and pour your heart out. But when it comes to the deity, it's a very formal setting. So it's considered here it is. It's an offense. Shedding. Here it says shed false tears before the deity. Quarreling before the deity. Yeah, number one. Don't want to do that. Yeah, I haven't seen it. Well, yeah, generally, sometimes in classes, I've been in a couple of classes where it's gone quite unpleasant. And devotees are having a bit of a heated exchange in a not very sattvic way. So that can be considered an offense. Criticizing someone before the deity. Yeah, generally, even if the deity is not there, we should avoid that. Okay, I think you'd like to read some more?
Yeah.
Okay, to ask
Yes, Nimai Mata.
false tears.
Sound again is very faint, but anyway, go ahead. I shall listen carefully.
When you say false tears, so this is sahaja mentality.
You could say, yeah.
And so if somebody is really having a difficult time or something, so that can't be false tears, isn't it?
But
So
still, you shouldn't come before the deity and howl and cry.
No, I'm not saying howling and crying, definitely no. But without that, also looking at the deities, tears can come out.
Yeah. Oh, that is different. That's actually wanted. We should.
I'm not saying about some stage with having something in the mind and something hurting. It could happen. So how can we judge whether that is false tears? We don't know what is going on in that person's life.
No, we don't. But generally, at least they should keep it. They shouldn't exhibit it. It should be kept to themselves if it's there at all. They shouldn't make a scene of it.
No,
it disturbs the darshan for others there.
That is fine. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I forget who it was. There was some lady came. She was crying one time. I think then when Mataji was in the temple, and she did a nice thing. She came up and she put her arm around her, and she took her to the back of the temple. Then she went outside with her, and she spoke with her. That was very nice because I was doing arty at the time. It was a little bit of a distraction. This lady was crying quite intensely in front of the deities. So this other Mataji came up and she gave her, and she spoke to her, sat her down outside, and yeah, that was a nice thing to do. I'm sure Krishna was pleased with that as well. It felt like Krishna was pleased with that. Yes, carry on, Robert Levanga.
Where am I? Number 17.
Yeah, go from number 17, yeah.
Criticizing someone before the deity. 18. Giving charity to beggars before the deity. 19. Using abusive language before the deity. 20. Covering with blanket or quilt before the deity. 21. Praising someone before the deity. 22. Acting immodestly before the deity. 23. Passing air before the deity. 24. Using or giving substandard paraphernalia for deity worship in spite of having better.
Wow.
25. Stop there?
You just go to the end and then we'll go back.
Yeah, okay. 25. Eating or drinking unoffered food. 26. Not offering seasonal fruits and vegetables. 27. Offering contaminated food first eaten by someone else to the deity. 28, sitting with one's back to the deity. 29, offering obeisances to or worshipping someone else before the deity. Number 30, not glorifying and offering obeisances to one's guru before the deity. 31, glorifying oneself before the deity. 32, slandering the demigods before the deity. These 32 Seva Aparadhas are compiled from the scriptures by the realized sages.
Okay, let's just go back on those then. We'll go from
17.
Yeah, criticizing someone before the deity. Generally, yeah, that should be a general adhikar. That's not adhikar. That should be a general behavior. Sadachar, not adhikar, sadachar. That we want to avoid criticizing people, especially before the deities. You know, calling, giving charity to beggars before the deity. We don't really have to contend with that too much because our temple is kind of quite closed. You've got a reception, there's a door, but temples in India, some of them are quite open planned. So you get beggars generally hang around. Sometimes they may come into the temple foreground, you know, into the temple compound. So here it is. You can give, there's nothing wrong. You can give charity, but here it said you shouldn't give charity before the deity. I guess the idea is everything there should be given to the deity. And yeah, probably more an issue in India in the way the temples are built there. Using abusive language before the deity. Okay, that should be obvious, hopefully. Point here is that the deity is a person and he happens to be the supreme person. So there should be a sense of respect for that. So just like children shouldn't want to use abusive language before their parents, not to speak of before the deity. And this one, covering with a blanket or quilt before the deity. Not quite sure what this may be about. Sometimes, you know, we see homeless people covered in blankets and quilts and coming in front of. If there is anyone's got any insight into that one, covering with a blanket or quilt before the deity, I guess it's not very respectful way to dress. I guess I don't know what. Anyone got any ideas on that one? It's shame. I would like to ask Bucknell Thakur what he meant about this. Also, there's that one which is always asked, one shouldn't wear red or blue before the deity. That's in the nectar devotion as well.
I know, and I like red.
Yeah. One time I happened to hear someone ask Prabhupada that, a question. Or Mataji asked a question. What does this mean? Prabhupada said, we may or may not understand, but we just follow. Then he gave the example, just like it's a Vedic, just like the Vedic aphorism. Like, for instance, it said that cow dung is pure. So we just accept it, you know, and it happens to be the case. So some things we may not understand. Other different comments on that. Krishna Setra about wearing red or blue before the deity. He describes that's generally meant for the pujari, or directly serving the Lord, and that the colors should be sattvic and not show-off type. It's not that everyone who wears red or blue is showing off, but generally gaily, bright, wonderful clothes is generally the that's what we dress the deities in. So we want to come before the deities in a little bit of a humble mood and not trying to outdo them. And it gave, I guess, of a dress. So Krishna Setra Maharaj gave that commentary upon that. Other than that, it's not difficult to exactly know.
I heard somebody in the class, one of the class, and I'm sure it was Kadam Kanan Maharaj. Yeah. He said it's a special type of blue that Radharani wears that we should not be wearing. And the red is bright, sort of the bright red color.
Okay. Okay.
But and he said pale blue, or but that was what I was going to ask you. But obviously that was what.
Okay, let's just take it like that. I mean, he spent many years in Vrindavan.
Yes.
So he's quite knowledgeable. He will be quite knowledgeable on the culture of darshan there. That's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so the red is the blue. Some blue that Radharani wears.
Special colors that Radharani wears. We don't.
Yeah.
Wear those.
A copy. And red again. What was he said about red?
It's about bright red. She wears a different shade of red.
Like traffic light red.
Didn't say, he didn't expand on the red that much, but on the blue he said you can wear light blue or different, shade of blue. But red I didn't understand.
Yeah, I don't understand it exactly, but okay. 21, praising someone before the deity. It's okay in Bhagavatam class. That's what Bhagavatam's about. We're praising Prahlad Maharaj, we're praising Prabhupada, we're praising the previous acharyas, we're praising, that's okay, but you're not. And also we have Istagosti sometimes, and we praise devotees before the deities, but not in the mundane. We're not praising mundanity. Like one time, I think I said this, I remember I probably said this before as well. One time at temple a few years ago allowed one Hindu man to hold a birthday celebration in a temple room. It was so, we started telling all these silly Hindu jokes, and praising the mundane characters. A typical, completely mundane. It was painful to hear it going on in the temple. I think we might remember the joke he told us. I told it, why isn't India any good at football? Because every time there's a corner, they open a shop. You're saying all these jokes, the type of jokes you're going to say in a pub or something, or in a social club. So I'm sure the temple authorities, I think I was one of them. I mean, I didn't give permission for it, but I'm sure we displeased the Lord then. It felt to me we had made an offense in allowing that type of thing to go on in the temple room. And there was another instance as well when Jack, who died of cancer?
Yeah.
Initiated name, and we had a memorial in our temple room, and there was, I won't go into details, but we know what background that she came from before she became a devotee. Some of her quote unquote
came,
and the things that she said was explicit, disgusting things in a temple room, and so-called praise of I won't say, but. And I just hearing that sound vibration in the temple, I think it caused shudders in every devotee's heart, that this person has said that thing in this space, and the whole atmosphere went really, that was, everyone felt, I felt really, I was glad I wasn't there. I was listening upstairs, My heart sank when I heard that sound come out of this lady's mouth and what she said in the temple room. And I'm sure we displeased the Lord then. He wasn't happy with that. So that's very
they were her friends. They were her friends from previous, before she joined.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So they had no contact. They didn't give a damn where they were. She just wanted to express of how much I won't go into the details. Otherwise, if I go into details of what she said, I think some of you will be signing off of this class today. Right, let's go on. Sorry. You were praising some
22.
Yeah, acting modestly before the deity. Okay, we've got an interesting. This has been used by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This goes back perhaps 200 years. So what to speak now? I'm sure the address or the way people act now I mean, there was one lady, she would, I saw her the other day. She's a little bit, she was in the Sunday feast, I gave Sunday feast now. I hadn't seen her for some time. And she would often dance in front of the deities. Like, they have this pole dancing in these strip clubs. You know?
Yeah.
Dancing in a very, very provocative, immodest way, completely unacceptable. And someone has to stop persons doing things like that. Because that is disrespectful. So acting immodestly before the deity. We should always act in a chaste way, what to speak before the deity. Some of you might know who I'm speaking about. You might have, anyway, I won't impersonate the dance. Okay. Passing air before the deity. Okay. We have these bodies and stuff comes out of these bodies. We don't want to disturb the meditation of the devotees, so we step outside. Okay. So also that's why Brahmins generally they should be very regulated in their eating, because then then they can better control themselves in these aspects of the body. They eat at such a certain time that their food is digested before they're actually worshipping the deity. Otherwise, there could be some offense. We all know we've got pujaris, we go on the altar, we should avoid that. I won't ask for comments on that, but everyone gets the idea.
You don't eat anything in the evening, the night before.
Yeah,
you don't eat
yeah.
After 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you just don't drink. So in the morning, when you're doing service, you're pretty empty and everything.
Yeah. So using or giving substandard paraphernalia for deity worship, despite their having better. Okay. Some of the things we get donated to our deity department is very questionable. Some of it is very nice, but some of it is obviously, sometimes people donate things that they don't use anymore or are no good. So that's here.
Yeah, why do people think like the temple is just like a kind of a dumping ground for everything you don't need that's related to deities?
Yeah, that's why, generally I still do like to see it like that. The D department should be, what's the word for being very simple? It's very, and uncluttered, what's it called? There's a word for uncluttered living, where you've not got much stuff around.
Minimalist?
Minimalist, that's it. As minimalist as possible, especially our department. Like they did nice. Someone bought a blender. Perhaps one of you bought that blender, so I won't go too much into it. But it's got about 17 parts to it. And it's completely taken over the small pujari kitchen, it's good, I guess. It could come, and then perhaps once every 6 months, someone's going to use a specific part of it. Anyway, it's at least it works, and it was new. But yeah, people sometimes, I have been donated, but some people just don't know, and they know. Sometimes they don't donate jewelry that's been used, or it's a dead person's jewelry. So they come and give it to the deities.
Yeah. And also, I was in the pujari one day, and someone brought a bag of looked like groceries. Anyway, when you opened it up, it became obvious that this person must have been going on holiday, cleaned out their fridge, and you got like half a cucumber, you got like half a cabbage, and the things that they're probably going away. They thought, well, I don't want to throw it away. I'll just take it to the temple. But it was just like stuff lying in their fridge that
they should have just thrown in the bin.
They half used. Obviously, we didn't use it. You can't use stuff that's been half used.
Yeah. So people sometimes, it's good if you happen to see the person who gives it, then you can nicely explain, oh, thank you for your donation. Well, actually, we can't use this, you see, because it's been cut. It's already been used, and you can't donate. You have to donate fresh things. Some persons are just in ignorance, and then they just need educating on these points. I'm sure they don't bring it deliberately. They're just in ignorance of what is the actual standard. Yeah, eating or drinking unoffered food. Okay, so not offering seasonal fruits and vegetables. All right, so that's good. Like cherry season is seasonal, so good to offer cherries. Fortunately or unfortunately, as you may look at it, because of modernization and chemical manipulation, you can get any fruit from any season at any time. Here in the UK, here in the supermarkets, more or less. But if we know something's in season, it's strawberry season, bring some strawberries, because the Lord likes it. The Lord likes to be offered seasonal things. I know that's quite a big occasion in New Rajdan, when the plums come of season, when even the wheat comes of season. When they first thresh the wheat, then they grind it and they make an offering to the Lord of chapatis from the fresh ground wheat. It's a bit of a festival. And even in Christianity, we used to celebrate that when we was young. We used to sometimes get dragged to church, and they'd have all the
Harvest Festival.
Harvest Festival. That's it. Yeah. So it's nice to do that. It's nice to be mindful. Oh, look what's come out now. Look what season it is. Let me offer this to Krishna. That's nice. And whatever, I mean, yeah. So please, anyone has any comments on these, any further questions, please feel free to ask. Offering contaminated food first eaten by someone else to the deity, that shouldn't need much explanation. Quite obvious. Sitting with one's back to the deity, that's often one we have to correct devotees about, especially in our temple room. So you can offering obeisance to or worshipping someone else before the deity. So even a spiritual master, we should not pay obeisances to him in the temple room with when the curtains are open. Okay. Not glorifying and offering obeisances to one's, this might say something opposite. Not glorifying and offering obeisance to one. And so here you go, it's the opposite here now. Not glorifying or offering obeisances to one's guru before the deities.
Yeah.
So that's saying you should do it here. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. I was confused. I didn't ask.
I'm confused as well. I've always understood that before like this first one, you shouldn't worship someone else before the deity. And here it says.
No, it says not glorifying and offering obeisance to one's guru, not glorifying.
So that what it means, that you should not do that. That's more what I'm used to.
Meaning,
No, that's
it's the opposite. It's the opposite. You should glorify.
It means you should glorify.
Let's have one person at a time. Let's have Mother Vishani first and Mother Lavanga.
No, it says you should glorifying.
Okay.
Glorify and offer obeisances to one's guru, because that's what we do when we come to temple, and we always do to Srila Prabhupada in front of the deities, but it says not glorifying is an offense.
Okay. Mother Lavanga, you had something on this?
Yeah, I mean, the offense is not glorifying.
Yeah, I tend to think it's that as well.
Yeah, but usually we always hear you don't, even your guru you don't pay obeisances to.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit confused about this one.
Yeah, because this is the first time I heard this one.
I'll have to do some homework on this, like I did the other time. I can ask Nishrin Kavachapur on this one.
Yeah, and also I just want to ask about the sitting with one's back to the deity. Like we have London Mellows coming up, and usually the kirtan is going on where the Vyasasana is usually for Bhagavatam class, and everyone's kind of in a circular formation around that. And sometimes devotees may have their back to the deities at that time, or
then the person who's leading the proceedings or senior devotees should actually make sure they don't. I mean, I know my Guru Maharaj, many times I've heard him and others during kirtan, bhajan, sit down bhajan, then he stopped and he corrected what is. Please don't sit with your back to the deities.
I mean, do you think, like, even the fact that we're not looking at the deities and we're looking at the kirtaneers in front of the deities, would that be offensive? Because sometimes I've seen people doing the kirtan and they say we should all face the deities.
Well, there's some maybe some logistical issues with that. For instance, if those who are leading the kirtan and everyone's facing them, that means they've got this, the persons who are leading it and facing everyone, that means they got to sit with their back to the deities while everyone's looking at them and looking at the deities. That's why it kind of works from a side elevation point of view in our temple. You know, they sit to the side and everyone's sitting with their right side to the deities and the left side to Prabhupada. You can understand? But if the bhajaneers are sitting in front of the deities, so everyone can look towards the deities. So
yeah,
just for
or even if they sat in the corner where the madangas are, then you're probably less likely to have people turning their back.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just wondering.
Yeah, but also there's a certain dynamic that's needed in if you're leading the bhajan, you've really there's a dynamic of dealing with the crowd and keeping them involved and keeping them engaged, and also the other musicians. So it really is, it helps the kirtan if they're sitting at the front there and they're able to see what's going on, rather than in a corner where it's just, you know what I mean? They're just tucked in the corner.
Yeah, if you're looking at the kirtan, instead of if you're looking in the direction of the sound vibration, it kind of helps more to get absorbed rather than hearing it from the side when you're looking at the date.
Yeah. So I think the way we do it kind of is the best option that we've got, but they shouldn't be, if they start forming us on the side of, on the Krishna side, start forming a circle, you should, that should be corrected. It should be, this is, Prabhupada would often correct these devotees as well. Shouldn't have it back towards the deities. Yeah, I get very. Guess I've been serving the deities, so when I see someone sitting in class with the back to the deities, I just don't like it, and not that I get angry about it, but I tell them, or I get someone else to tell them, or I point it out. I can't sit there or someone's got their back directly to the deities. So we should correct people. We should teach people. Perhaps that's a better way to put it. We should teach people these things, glorifying oneself before the deity. Okay, we should be hesitant to do that before anyone. What to speak about before the deities, We should be glorifying them. Slandering the demigods before the deity. Okay, so please don't do that.
What if we say, like, Indra was so puffed up that he was like, he came and he...
Yeah, that's an interesting point, actually. It should be done in context with his greatness, Whenever I speak about that, we should speak the idea of how great he is. Indra, he's the king of the heavens, and he's not in that position. He's in that position for a very good reason. So we don't, I should mean this would be that you're disrespectful and you're blaspheming. We shouldn't be disrespectful to an ant, let alone jivas in powerful positions of controlling the material energy. We should speak of them in a praiseworthy way. But we may bring up, for the context of Leela and pastimes connected to Krishna, like Brahma Vimohan Leela, we have Indra as well, sending the rains on Govardhan. But we don't have a disrespectful, slandering attitude towards the demigods. We should be respectful, because they're very dear servants of the Lord, and that would displease the Lord. All right? So it just finishes off here. Other scriptural sources have listed additional offences. These I mentioned briefly. All right, let's see, Chandravali, Mother, your hand is there. You can continue reading.
Okay, so more offenses listed in other scriptures. Other scripture sources have listed additional offenses. These I mentioned briefly. It is offensive to eat opulently, to touch it's an instinct to touch the deity of hurry in darkness, to touch the deity without proper rituals, to open the altar doors without an accompanying performance of music and song for the pleasure of the Lord, to offer food to the Lord that has been seen by a dog, or to speak during deity worship, to offer arti without putting a flower garland on the deities.
Okay, let's just pause there. We'll put a little thing there. We'll just pause there. So here, it is interesting. That's the first time I've heard this. It is offensive to eat opulently. There's feasts that happen, you know. Even Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a lot of pastimes where the Lord and his devotees are engaging in wonderful festival, feasting. But generally, Vaishnavas generally simply, gluttonous, materialistic persons with no sense control, and who have or wealthy, gluttonous persons, they will eat opulently. But generally, we leave that to Krishna. You know, he's the king. So we should do it relatively simple fare. But you know, here it is. You know, it's an offense to eat opulently. That could exactly what Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or what is meant here. That could be interesting. What he means by opulence. I tend to think it's like the materialists who they kind of live to eat, and they're quite gluttonous, you know. I've got this picture, this poster, which I used for one of my teachings on the slide. You know, it's got this picture of this man with a stomach out here, and he's got all these loads of food around him. And it's like the idea is you get the impression this is a really greedy mentality. So, you know, any questions about that? To touch a deity, and so we covered that one. Yeah, to touch a deity about proper rituals. So we do bath, we do achman, etc. Yeah, to open the altar doors without accompanying the forms of music. That's very important. At least, yeah, or at least I guess we do it for Mangalati, actually. Everyone's quiet, chanting japa. And then we open the curtains. But for deity greeting, there's a deity greeting kirtan. Then we open the curtains. Sometimes I've been, you know, when I'm dressing the deities and I'm going to open the curtains and there's no one singing, I actually don't open the curtains until someone starts singing. I just don't like. Okay, but generally sometimes it's happened where there's no one singing and it's 7 o'clock. So I stick my head out the curtain and I get someone to start singing it, because I tell them I'm not going to open the curtains until you start singing. You know, but PM program, when the curtains open, it doesn't happen. 7 o'clock, generally there's a class, so there's at least some pravachan going on. There's no kirtan exactly. And 9 o'clock, I don't think there's no one there again. So perhaps something we want to think about. I don't know, to make that happen. I mean, I don't know. It's just a tradition we're in. I mean, I don't know why we don't sing before the curtains open for Mangalati. Jaya Radha Landaneshwara Radha.
In Ishrath and other places, when there's like very few people, they play on a CD player some kirtan.
Yeah, that's quite common in the more empty temples in Europe, places like that. But yeah, here is I mean, in Mayapur, they have big kirtan before deity greetings there in Mayapur, but Mangalati, no. As far as I can remember, in Mangalati. What's it like in Vrindavan, Chandravali, Nova?
No.
Everyone's
nothing.
doing japa. So there you go.
For Mangalati, yes, they're doing japa and then, yeah, the conch blows. Yeah.
In Mayapur, you have all the ladies doing that noise. Auspicious Uru. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's before the deity greeting. Whether it goes on for the rest of the day, during after, in the afternoon when the Lord wakes up. But it's something else to think about. Here it says here, open the altar doors without an accompaniment, perform some music. So at least if we're the Bajari, I guess at least if the bell's there, the conch and the bell should be there. Bare minimum. The bell is considered to be the sound of the Vedas when you're ringing the bell. Anyway, yeah. To offer food to the Lord that has been seen by a dog. All right. To speak during deity worship. Okay. This is a common issue that comes up in deity worship. In deity worship classes, it's an ongoing issue at the manor, which they're always dealing with, devotees speaking freely on the altar. So that shouldn't be done. No, when I always had the opportunity to go on the altar with Pankajanu and Jananivas. I mean, Jananivas doesn't generally speak much anyway, except when he gives class. He's a very grave person. But definitely on the altar, no one speaks, never speaks. They just indicate. One time I was on the altar in Mayapur and I was cleaning enthusiastically before the curtains open, and I was brushing, and Janivas or Pankajanu, I forget which two, but then they instructed me not to do it. And they didn't have to tell me, they just indicated by, gesture not to do it. And the reason was because the dust, if you do it too much, it blows dust up and it can land on the Lord's face, etc. So there is ways of communicating without speaking. But if you do have to say something, you should do it in hushed tones and to the side. Step to the side of addressing the deity and in a hushed tone, respectful way. But yeah, there's one devotee who's quite well known at the manor. He's just, I won't mention his name, some people might know. But he talks like, he's just like you're in a restaurant, gagging away, going away, going at it, when you're waiting in the queue in Govindas or something, or you're waiting in the Prashadam queue, he's just going away on the altar, He's been told a few times. Anyway, Krishna. Where was here? To offer arti without putting a flower garland on the deities. Okay, something else to. What do you do about that one?
I think the one flower garland in the morning covers the whole artis.
Yeah, let's hope it does. We can't make garlands for every arti, that's for sure. Turn our Bajai department upside down. Yeah, let's take it like that. Okay, Kiki, carry on, Mother Chandra. Sorry, I stopped you there.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, sorry, can I quickly ask a question?
Please, yes.
Does that apply to the home deities as well? Because I don't normally make flower garlands every day.
No, this would be specifically for kingly worship.
Okay.
Kingly worship, which is generally done in the temples.
Right, okay, that's fine.
Okay,
because I do try and do now and then, but not regularly.
Yeah. As far as I can understand, all this that's written here is in regards to kingly worship, which is the worship of the temples.
Wonderful. Thank you for the clarification.
Perhaps you finish this paragraph, Mother Chandravali, then we can.
To worship Lord Krishna with unattractive or non-fragrant flowers, to offer worship to Lord Krishna without first cleansing the face and mouth, to offer worship to the deities having neglected to take a bath after intercourse with one's wife, to be in the presence of a woman during her menstrual period, to offer worship directly after having kindled a fire, to pass air before the deities, to offer worship wearing dirty or contaminated clothes, to offer worship while angry, to offer worship directly after having been at the cremation ground or having touched a dead body or seen a dead body's face, to offer worship while suffering from indigestion or dysentery, to offer worship immediately after eating, to offer worship while chewing betel or tobacco, to touch the deities after having had a massage with oil, to worship with flowers from the people or castor tree, to worship at an inauspicious time, to worship while squatting on a small wooden stool, to touch the Lord with the left hand while bathing the deities, to offer old or already offered flowers, to boast during worshipping, to spit habitually, to worship the deity after having applied smudged or zigzag tilak, to enter the temple without washing the feet, to offer the deities food cooked by non-devotees, to do puja in front of a non-Vaishnava.
Okay.
Okay.
So I won't go through all these. I just ask if you've got any questions on any specific ones. Something needs to be clarified. Let me just check how far we've got. Okay. Some of these are repeated.
Well, I think like most of the flowers that we offer are not fragrant. So, I mean, that's the problem everywhere. None of the flowers have fragrance. Like,
Yeah. As you know, flowers are grown for look, not for smelling. They're grown in artificial, as we know, for most part. Yeah. What can we do?
I think at the manor, they said they spritz the flowers with rose water to give them some fragrance before they offer. Yeah,
you can do that. I think that's allowed. But generally, we're doing well lately, especially in the summer. We do better because people bring roses, etc., from their gardens. And then now at the manor they got marigolds. They got tunnels of marigolds where they're growing. So as much as possible, let's try and bring in scented flowers and offer. If those who are doing arti for the Lord, please keep this in mind. You know, we want to offer scented flowers.
But the people coming from outside, there's so many ants coming from outside.
Yeah, then I think I mentioned before. Then you just gently tap the flower. You know, you tap it, and then all the insects will come out.
Yeah, they run all over the pujari.
Oh, you can do it. Do it before you bring them in, or anyway, it's easily done. There's a better that we offer nice scented flowers before the Lord. No, just because they might have an ant in it. If we're sure we can offer the ant as well if you want.
I said to Deepika, I'm not offering your ants.
Yeah.
What would be an inauspicious time for worship?
1 o'clock in the morning, unless it's Janmashtami, midnight. You know, this is called these times. Generally, the Lord is worshipped as of sunrise. You know, during the daylight hours. So, okay, guys, some might get into it. There's a whole discussion we have on the deity worship ministry about eclipses, which is considered.
Yeah, there's one coming up in October.
Yeah. Now, for the conclusion the deity worship ministry came to is that yes, that's there, but Srila Prabhupada never ever instructed anyone to follow all the precautions in regards to eclipses. In other words, the worship should go on. It's a nitya seva, and it shouldn't be disturbed. I remember many years ago when I was first a Bajari, then there was an eclipse, and on Mataji, she was very enthusiastic about the eclipse, and she put bin liners up all the windows, and it was all pitch black. And then after the eclipse, we had to clean every pot. It's like pretty drastic. So this came, so we just chant, we should never stop the service. Let's just say that eclipse or no eclipse, then we offer the Lord Arctic. That's Prabhupada's line.
And what about smudged or zigzag tilak? I mean,
yeah, I mean,
sometimes my tilak sometimes is not.
Yeah, I mean,
great.
Vimala comes down with some interesting tilak sometimes. So
that's who I was thinking of when I said it. But
yes,
yeah,
we want to do. I mean, the best person who did the perfect tilak is Tirupati Gorenga. Look at his tilak. Next time you see this, perfect. So we should do it in a conscious way. We should want to. Okay, so it doesn't have to be an artwork. It doesn't have to be a piece of art.
I can't do it.
But here we go. Here it's said here, it's actually an offense. Smudged or zigzag tilak. Basically, we don't do zigzag tilak. That's Mayavadis. Actually, what this means, this is Mayavadis. Some will do specific lines that you see. That's more the renunciates. But others, Mayavadis, they will get some chandan and just go like that. Zigzag. So that's more Mayavadis. But our tilak is, well, you know what our tilak is like. Yeah. So this is there's this zigzag tilak to come before the deity with Mayavad type markings on is actually an offense. Yeah. Yeah.
And to do puja in front of a non-Vaishnava, I mean, there are many non-Vaishnavas who come during Arti.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally, so things have to be, I guess things have to be adjusted according to the phenomena of now wide-scale preaching in the West. And so this is one example of time, place, and circumstancing having to adjust the rules, for the sake of preaching. So the highest purpose is preaching. So therefore, we invite schools to come to the temple. Children, and they are not devotees. So this I think makes an adjustment for the higher purpose of preaching. But it's the fact. I mean, just finish on this point. From the point of view of being, to some degree, trying to be devotee, and the way that we look at the way that we observe the deities, then when you see when a non-devotee comes in, and the way they're looking, and they're not only a non-devotee, but they don't have any faith at all in what we're doing, and it's a very not very nice mood, or not a very nice atmosphere that they create. I mean, the way they look at the deities is like they're looking at a lamppost. It's the same as looking at a lamppost for them. It's completely disrespectful, and they look around at the devotees as being mad for worshipping bits of stone, So it does create. I mean, that's why, in one sense, I have sympathy should be understood in the right way. But these temples that don't let in India, I can understand where their sense of kind of where that comes from by not letting atheists into temples, because it's anyway. But we're a preaching mission, and we're a mercy mission, and we're preaching in the West. So therefore, let them come in. But you definitely see a difference, and it's definitely because I'm used to doing deity greeting, and when the curtains open, there's like 30, 40 people there, all with their hands folded in great love and adoration for the deities. And there's a certain mood, and when I open the curtains and there's like 15 atheists there, I'm telling you, it's a different atmosphere completely. It's a completely different atmosphere. So I can understand laws being a bit choosy here. Anyway, so time and circumstance. All right, so
just a very quick question.
Yes,
sorry,
please.
Very quick question. Like there was yagya, and people were sitting with the backs to the deities. like the temple president. That would be offensive, right?
Yeah, that was that. I mean, that was wrong. That was a bit awkward there.
That's
I mean, he was
unacceptable.
facing a little bit, but the situation, yeah, that's. I mean, I observed that as well, and I felt a little bit uncomfortable with that, but I couldn't see how to immediately adjust it, time, place, and circumstance. But I'm gonna look out for that next time. So that was well observed, Mother. Thank you for that. I also observed that.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's good to know that there will be more such occasions. It was lovely. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. So we stop there. I thought we might finish this chapter today, but I guess because I'm being a Pujari, I've got a few things to say on these points. So, a few things to share on these points. And next week we'll finish this chapter, I'm sure. And then we move on to this chapter, the Bhajan of Confidential Worship. That should be interesting. Okay. All right. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And please, if you can, if you have time, if you like, please join us tomorrow. We have Bhagavatamrita, where we are discussing glorifying the Pandavas, isn't it? The Pandavas are being glorified now. So please join us for that. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you, everyone. I'll stop here.
Thank you.
Everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.